An empty petrol tanker and a truck carrying a load of foodstuffs were involved in the collision near the Sparks Road interchange at about 4 this afternoon. The tanker rolled over, trapping its driver in the wreckage. The 53-year-old man was taken by a rescue helicopter to Newcastle's John Hunter Hospital in a stable condition.
If walls could talk, then these walls would have a wealth of stories to tell about birthday celebrations, weddings, and then there's the 22 years the building operated as a courthouse. It was here in the early 1900s that two boys from Greta were convicted of stealing 2 shillings before being thrown into prison. Many miners were also fined for working while claiming to be on strike with a different company.
Because we have so much history in this town, and it's going and no one's recording it, and at least if we save our buildings, the history of the building stays with us.
$100,000 from the State Heritage Council and Cessnock Council has been spent repairing the 1896 brick structure, which boasts high ceilings and windows.
If they hadn't received the grant or they hadn't received approvals within that 12 months, it looked like it was going to be demolished.
From next month, the courthouse will take on the new role of a community facility, hosting art exhibitions, weddings, and it will also become home to a local dance school. Colleen West, NBN News.
Councillor Aaron Buman knows it was wrong to erect an awning and decking outside his inner-city cafe without permission, but he did it anyway. His customers and therefore his hip pocket are benefiting while he goes about submitting a DA. Over in Beaumont Street, however, business owners are wondering whether they too would have been better off going against the rules, because their 3-year campaign to extend outdoor dining areas has been met with constant bureaucratic barriers.
We've tried to do it the right way and it's taken us that long and we're still not there.
The Hamilton Business District Committee is frustrated that every time it submits a revised plan, another condition emerges on Council's outdoor dining policy. It's a policy they believe needs updating to come in line with the public's lifestyle changes.
I feel it's it needs a bit more consultation with the people at that level, you know, who know all the problems of outdoor dining.
The dangers of traffic and drainage and wheelchair access issues are among council concerns.
In the last, say, 3 or 4 years have become much more important, and insurance companies obviously are much more concerned about it, and so are we.
Jessica Phyllis, NBN News.
You could have excused the crew of Longwall Construction from sitting out today's final 2 races, given they couldn't be beaten. But celebrations were put on hold somewhat to ensure they capped off the regatta in style.
I had a few quiet drinks, but certainly have a few more tonight.
It's the second time Hodder has won the national title, with his crew of Lindsay Austin and Dale Jacobson, and his 3rd overall.
It's taken quite a while, but actually it's quite ironic. The other 2 times I've won the titles have been down here at Sunshine, so yeah, happy hunting ground.
Like it's been for the length of the regatta, the crew has been forced to work hard, with Scott Beebe's Donut King always pressing for top spot. And locked in a battle for second with Grant Sheldon's SFC Computers, neither gave much room today either. In fact, there wasn't much between boats across most of the fleet, with little room for error on these impressive 15-foot craft.
A great fleet, they're really close, it's a competitive fleet. Honestly, we could come first, we could come seventh in any race at any time, so we've just been lucky.
Skill certainly played a part though, Longwall Construction winning the first race today and led the second before Gear Trouble saw Donut King take that and claim outright second overall.
Yeah, look, that's always dangerous with athletes, especially elite athletes. When they lose, they want to bounce back really quickly, and unfortunately we're in the path of that. So, we've got to deal with that one as well.
These two sides have enjoyed close games all season, and you could tell from the outset this wasn't going to be any different. Life on the road has been tough, but at home, Hunter always seems to find something extra. And they needed to, given their playoff chances fluctuate from game to game of late. After a disappointing last outing, there was no questioning effort last night. While the 36ers shared the points, Brian Weathers was draining them from everywhere, with the talented guard on a hot streak that's lasted all season. But inspiration was coming from everywhere. Russell Hinder fighting through 4 to score. Josh Morgan dropping in from further out. Brad Davidson from even deeper. It got them within a point before a controversial finish. Weathers drawing a foul. But 36ers coach Phil Smythe's complaint turned 2 shots into 4, and while the first was wobbly, the man for all seasons sank them all. Adelaide had one last throw of the dice, but Hunter hung on, and you couldn't bottle the home side's winning feeling. The 113 to 110 victory pushing the Pirates back into the top 8.
In the cooler months, they're the must-have fashion accessory. A popular item worldwide, the humble Ugg boot is now the focus of international media attention. Thornton's Mortel's sheepskin factory is embroiled in a naming rights fight after US company Decker's Outdoor Corporation made the Ugg boot name a registered trademark.
Well, an Ugg boot's an Ugg boot, just like jeans are jeans. You can't call it anything else.
Tony Mortel says he's going to fight the ruling tooth and nail, a battle that's caught the eye of a French TV crew documenting the very bitter Trans-Pacific brawl.
To try to understand a little bit better what's the point, what's the problem here, why do all those people who want to go to court.
Why else, of course, but money.
We have lost last financial year around about $300,000 worth of turnover just because of their stopping us using the word Ugg boot.
The story will be seen on a program called Capital, a business show with an audience of 5 million people. Another crew, filming for National Geographic, has also picked up the story of how a small-town Aussie manufacturer is taking on the might of American big business. Adam McKilrick, NBN News.
Already without Mitch Selwood, Hunter lost Josh Morgan before tip-off, turning this game into a real battle. Once a Razorback, Russell Hinder had been waiting for this game all season. His old teammates showed they hadn't slowed down without him. With both teams fighting for the final playoff spot, bodies were on the line. The Pigs pinching a narrow lead at the main break. But a third quarter surge really got their heads in front, ending the term with a 19-3 scoring run to have the game in hand. Down by 14, the Pirates needed points, and they came largely through Geordie Cullen. After a relatively quiet opening, Cullen proved why he's one of the league's best off the bench by leading a freakish 19-point run. Again, Brian Weathers dropped in a game-high 20 as Hunter celebrated a much-needed win.
What I'd like to see them to do it on the road.
A fatigued Hunter get that chance tonight in Brisbane.
Brothers Jacob and Zach Weir don't mind giving up some of their school holidays to help a worthy cause. The pair have put most of these boxes together to store donated goods. Today, those boxes contain some of the building blocks to help tsunami-devastated communities in Sri Lanka get back on their feet.
None of us are really young, except the two grandsons working here with us, which is great. And, you know, we feel like we're adding our little bit.
What an understatement. An abundance of clothing, linen, shoes, tents, even fishing gear among the items donated, a mighty effort by the Myall Lakes region.
Some people even went out and bought new stuff, which was very good.
Donations continue to pour in, with another truckload of goods from Bulahdelah yet to be processed. You don't mind giving up your weekend?
Certainly not. It's for a wonderful cause. Wonderful. Happy to do it.
By mid-morning, over 100 boxes had been filed, made up by this production line of generosity and goodwill. Adam McKilrick, NBN News.
Recovering from a shoulder reconstruction, it's the pain of watching that really hurts Olympian Natalie Cook.
I am getting itchy feet. I want to get out there and play, and hopefully I can start training in a few months.
Ironically, her current playing partner, Nicole Sanderson, is recovering from similar surgery as they aim for a mid-year return at the Worlds in Germany. Australia's Julian Prosser and big Swiss Sasha Hayer are just concentrating on winning this round of the National Series. They needed every bit of inspiration against the tough American pairing of Hans Stolfus and Matt Olsen, who won round 2 of the series. The boys in red, though, too good, needing just 2 sets to move straight into tomorrow's semi-finals.
Arriving into Singleton an hour early, Dave Ovington, his daughter Angela and her 4-year-old Appaloosa Brandy won't be forgetting this trip in a hurry after roughing it for 3 days. They left Raymond Terrace on Thursday night with backpacks and an empty donation can for 2 young Lake Macquarie girls with rare neurological conditions, and all because 5-year-old Angela wanted to do something to help.
He put the idea into my head, and I thought, well, I've got to get the horse up to Singleton anyway, so I might as well kill 2 birds with the 1 stone. Raise money for the 2 young girls.
And that they did. Dave and Angela have never met the Mills sisters, 2 young ladies who require specialist surgery in Europe. Angela saw the story on NBN late last year, resulting in this massive walk.
To help Bethany.
Whose idea was it to help Bethany?
Mine.
It was very touching, and yeah, I'm very proud of her.
Angela walked the first and last legs of the trip. Dave and an unbroken Brandy did it all. So you'll sleep well tonight?
Yep, probably sleep for the next week, I think.
Adam McIlrick, NBN News. It's the stuff country music dreams are made of, a chance to shine in Tamworth. These aspiring artists have come here from all over the nation, having won heats in their home regions.
I love it already, first time in Tamworth, and just enjoying the music.
Country queen Gina Jeffries welcomed the wannabe stars. She says the competition is unearthing talent which might otherwise go unnoticed.
Because the Chelsea Road to Tamworth goes to their towns, goes to every region across Australia.
And today, that long road reached the country music capital, the finalists hitting the stage.
It was tremendous fun, a huge adrenaline rush, and my heart's still beating away with it.
Yeah, I'm still shaking from being on there, but I'm settling down now. And yeah, it was excellent. I mean, you can't explain being up there and have all those people just listening to you.
The winner will be decided at the grand final tomorrow night and will receive a package of prizes designed to launch their career in country music, including the chance to record a single in Nashville.
Having been able to put his feet up for the past month after an exhausting season and extended Kangaroos tour, Danny Medeiros will be off them altogether on Thursday. The test rake will have a pin surgically inserted in his right foot to repair ligament damage.
They don't operate too much on toes and around that area, so it's going to have a clean up in there as well.
Full recovery is expected to take up to 12 weeks, and that includes Newcastle's first 3 games.
But all the points and all the big games are played at the end of the year, so I'm not too disappointed at missing the first couple of games.
It opens the door for players like Luke Quigley. Proving a reliable replacement in the past, the hard-working hooker could press for a utility role in the top grade with a strong start to the season. That's exactly what Josh Perry wants this year. Injury, a drop in form and missing state representation stung the former Blues forward in 2004. And he's leaving nothing left on the pre-season training park. Now leaner, faster and stronger, he wants to make up for lost time.
That's sort of a bit of a driving force for me at the moment to, every time I get out there and train, I want to train really hard and 100% and, as if you're training good, hopefully you can play good.
He's not the only one looking strong, as the Knights plan for their first trial match in 5 weeks. Jim Callanan, NBN News. Mixing with future stars of the game, it's tomorrow night when Brian Weathers will suit up with the names of the NBL. The league's leading scorer hoping to continue his form with the world team in a game known for its all-out attack. And then there's the slam dunk competition.
You can take a little more chances. A lot of times in the game you're like, I don't think I should do a 360 right now. But, the dunk comp, you have a little more fun.
But he doesn't want to get too carried away, given 2 days later, across the Tasman, he'll back up in a match vital for Hunter to firm up playoff chances.
Well, the coaches, let me know about that, make sure I take full advantage of the physio out there and, try to stay well hydrated.
You can bet the Kiwis will be waiting. Like most opposition sides these days, Weathers has become a marked man.
I wear it as a badge of honour. That's definitely let me know that, my opponents and the other coaches respect me. And, I want to go out and just improve.
As for the rest of the Pirates squad, Ben Milmuth continues to play through the pain barrier, while question marks remain over others as well.
The Mater Hospital's cancer unit is always busy, treating thousands of patients a year. The Health Services Union claims resources will be stretched even further unless all 5 staff vacancies are filled soon.
Well, these people are critical, obviously, to the provision of services to cancer patients in the region.
There has been some action following talks late yesterday.
2 of the positions that will be able to be filled almost immediately, and the other positions will proceed to be filled over the course of the coming weeks.
The union says it's a step in the right direction, but it wants all 5 positions secured. It says it hasn't been given an explanation why the hospital has delayed making the appointments.
We're told that the problem relates to some funding shortfall, some budget overrun.
The hospital says the budget has been sorted out. It was simply following proper process.
There's been a slight delay in the process of the hospital determining its best approach.
Mater staff will meet tomorrow afternoon to decide whether to push ahead with industrial action.
There are 450 Sudanese refugees living in Newcastle. They've escaped genocide in their native country, fleeing to Australia in the hope of a better life. But now they're facing a racist hate campaign led by the so-called Concerned Citizens Collective. The group has distributed these leaflets calling the refugees Sudanese gangbangers. As NBN News revealed last night, right-wing extremist and former leader of an Australian Nazi group, National Action, Jim Salim, pictured in this old photo, is a member of the group. He will address a protest meeting this Saturday in Islington Park. So you don't believe that these Sudanese refugees should be in Newcastle at all?
No, not at all. This type of migration should never have been contemplated.
But he denies his group is racist.
And protesting against what's in effect the transplantation, if you like, of the third world into the European world has got nothing to do with racism and bigotry.
Reverend Alan Johnson is incredibly disturbed by the group's comments. He says the Sudanese are great people and are being unfairly targeted, and he should know 80 of them attend his church in Islington.
When they've come out here, they've come out finally for an opportunity to live in some kind of peace and to rebuild their lives. So it's very, very unfortunate that this kind of thing is happening in Newcastle.
The Citizens Collective claims that the Sudanese refugees have started violent riots in Islington, but police say there's only been one small altercation during a Sudanese community meeting. Counter rallies will be held on Saturday here at the Palais in Hunter Street and also at the Hamilton Clock Tower for those in support of our refugees. Jane Goldsmith, NBN News. If the smell of fine coffee doesn't get you, then the taste certainly will. And when the quality of a cuppa can make or break your business, perfecting the art of brewed bliss is crucial.
With the market being so competitive these days, people must have some sort of advantage in their restaurants and cafes.
That's where coffee schools like the Bellaroma Academy in Newcastle come in. Courses are comprised of theoretical and practical components, and they're not just for the discerning barista. Last year, one small appliance label sold 45,000 domestic espresso machines in Australia. It seems we want quality cuppas at home, in the office, and when we dine out.
You'll see now that the machinery on offer is quite affordable. You can have machines as low as $300 upwards.
So what is the secret to a fine coffee? Is it the beans, the way they're roasted, the way the milk's frothed? No, it's much simpler than that.
Passion, I think you must. I know that's a word that's thrown around a lot, but kind of you need to be driven to make perfect coffee.
Jessica Phyllis, NBN News. The master plan for the North Wallara Peninsula was approved back in November 2003, and while people using the Pacific Highway would have noticed the construction of an interchange, it's tonight that the first stage of the residential estate will be voted on. Council's development staff have recommended approval of the Lensworth plan, which includes 129 housing lots, roads and a village green.
I think that it's a very good development as far as it's very innovative in the way they've tackled environmental issues. That doesn't mean that they're completely satisfied everybody.
The Pambulong Forest Estate, which has been in the planning stages since the mid-90s, is another to go before Council tonight.
The Cameron Park development is comprised of 602 lots, 582 of those are residential. Council's flora and fauna planner is concerned the estate will impact on threatened species in the area.
Species of bats, squirrel gliders, owl roost and a monitor.
However, other council staff have strongly supported the Pambulong plan. And while the controversial Rose Corp development at Catherine Hill Bay will not be under the microscope at tonight's meeting, Mayor Greg Piper will be looking to ensure the project is jointly considered with the neighbouring Wyong Shire Council as it runs over both council areas. Jessica Phyllis, NBN News.
It's a call for a rubbish revolution. On Tuesday, Lake Macquarie councillor Rob O'Brien told NBN News about his vision to rid the waterway of rot with a Sydney Harbour-style clean-up crew. But today, the idea was well and truly trashed.
It is not warranted. Full-time staff, full-time resourcing, huge costs.
Mr Morris says the state government already spends big dollars on lake clean-up projects and won't be pushed for more funds. Under the proposal, there'd be a permanent rubbish boat and a staff of 2 to conduct regular litter patrols of the lake.
Whether or not it needs to be something that's permanent and a relatively high cost, I don't know, but I do think we should be looking at it.
Mayor Piper says council and the state government have worked together well on other clean-up projects and could again here.
I believe that there is a responsibility for the state government to assist us.
What I would be saying to Lake Macquarie City Councils is have a good look at their own resources.
Wherever the buck stops, the rubbish awaits. Natasha Bayersdorf, NBN News.
As we reported last night, a group of volunteers at Lake Macquarie was told they can't call their community workshop project a men's shed on the grounds of gender discrimination. That's come as a surprise to already operating men's shed programs such as this one at Nambucca Heads on the mid-north coast. As well as providing male mentoring programs, it offers a range of classes such as car maintenance and furniture restoration, which are also well attended by women. According to General Manager Glenys Munro, the Nambucca Men's Shed has been running for the past 4 years without concern. Lake Macquarie Mayor Greg Piper hopes common sense may yet prevail.
Police guarded this property at Salisbury near Dungog last night. Today, reinforcements arrived to rip out an estimated 25,000 mature cannabis plants. Around 30 officers from the Lower Hunter Local Area Command and the State Crime Command Drug Squad worked through hot conditions and driving rain to uproot the plantation. A plantation which just 24 hours earlier was potentially worth $40 million if found to be other than the low THC variety used for hemp. Police had spotted the plantation from the main road. No attempt had been made to conceal it. Late yesterday afternoon, police executed a search warrant on this Salisbury Road property. By this afternoon, a team of officers had completely eradicated the massive cannabis plantation. Police allege Dr. Andrew Catalaris had been travelling to the property every second week to nurture and cultivate the cannabis plants while working every other week as a surgeon at a Sydney private hospital. Police say the 49-year-old claims he had been producing a low-drug variety of hemp organic fibre to be used as a clothing material. Dr. Catalaris has been a long-time advocate of the production of hemp fibre and a campaigner for the medical use of marijuana. The doctor had previously been licensed by the government to cultivate cannabis hemp. However, it was revoked in 2004 and he failed to renew it. Todd Nardi, NBN News. What can you do with $300 million? Well, Charlestown Square Management Lend-Lease has a plan that's extensive and even a little complicated. Among many things, it hopes to reopen Charlestown Mall to traffic, putting in restaurants, cafes and a town plaza. Causing controversy is the idea of expanding the shopping centre south by purchasing the Charlestown Bowling Club and building on that site. The club and greens would be moved to Ferris Oval, and the Ferris Oval Junior Rugby League facilities then relocated across town at St John Park.
We know that we want to add about 30,000 square metres to the centre. I mean, that's a result of the market growth and the demand that we have from retailers in the centre who want to expand their existing operations, and from retailers who want to come into the Hunter.
The loss of public recreational space by building on Ferris Oval is the point of concern for Lake Macquarie Mayor Greg Piper.
Once you've lost open space, it's basically gone forever. I'm talking about the next 50 years or beyond. And I think people in those timeframes would really regret if we have a net loss of open space.
The expansion would see 100 specialty shops, a cinema, new undercover parking, providing an estimated 1,200 new jobs. Todd Nardi, NBN News. Crossing notorious bars from Brunswick and Evans Head to Foster and of course Lake Macquarie's Swansea Channel can often be a part of open sea boating. Late yesterday a small runabout was spotted floating off Blacksmiths Beach. Police have confirmed it was the craft of a Newcastle man who drowned trying to cross a treacherous Swansea bar on Sunday morning.
The easterly swell we had made the bar at Swansea particularly dangerous.
Water police towed the craft to Pelican for investigation. It's believed 48-year-old fisherman Steve Park was not wearing a life jacket when he attempted the bar crossing. The Maritime Authority today pleaded with boat users to wear life jackets, especially when crossing dangerous bars.
If you're travelling out to sea across a bar such as Swansea, you have to have your life jacket on. You're required under legislation, and we'll particularly be increasing our compliance in that area.
People are also urged to check weather conditions before heading out to sea with the Coast Guard or Coastal Patrol, and to pack all safety equipment.
Particularly the life jackets, distress signals as such, all those equipment is on board and is accessible. That's one of the more important things as well, is that you can get to those things in an emergency.
Todd Nardi, NBN News.
The University of Newcastle is now in its 6th year of operating at a deficit. Part of the problem, too many staff, with approximately 65% of the budget spent on salaries. Today, Tertiary Education Union representative Wayne Reynolds confirmed the staff's worst fears. The $15 million annual deficit was conservative.
Well, I'm hearing, Jane, that the size of the deficit is worse than the original expectation. I won't comment on that figure, but it's not a good figure.
Last year, the university said around 100 academic and administrative staff will lose their jobs, but there's now concerns that will escalate. Mr Reynolds says the university should set a long-term realistic plan to draw the uni out of the red over several years.
My concern is that we don't panic about the finances and end up disrupting job security, course reductions and other decisions which need to be taken in their stride.
And while the Vice-Chancellor declined to comment today, the university didn't rule out that the budget deficit is far worse than first predicted. In fact, a special University Council meeting has been called for February 14, when a statement will be issued. It's a view to die for, but currently it's only the pigeons who roost inside Merryweather's surf house who can enjoy it. Councillor Helen O'Neill wants that to change, moving a motion to demolish the neglected building, removing the eyesore and opening the waterfront real estate back up to the public.
Now the cancer has set in, it's too far gone, the pigeons have made a home out of it, and I just believe it's community land, part of it's on community land. We need to give that back to the people.
The dilapidated building is just another blot on Newcastle's coastal landscape. There's also the unsightly picnic area at Dixon Park and the pedestrian tunnel and shelters at South Newcastle Beach, which are covered in graffiti. Councillor Helen O'Neill says the landmarks are a disgrace and urgently need some TLC.
It's the most beautiful coastline in the world, I love it, and nature does its part, but we don't do enough to embrace what nature does.
And with alfresco dining becoming more popular, she's also in favour of more outdoor beachside cafes to revitalise our coastal strip, such as this one at Merryweather. Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.
It was short in duration and cut a narrow path. West Cessnock was unaffected, but the storm hit the eastern side of town with venom. One family was counting its blessings after a large tree fell into the front yard, forcing Alkira Avenue to be closed as around 40 firemen went to work. Their neighbours were not so lucky. A family was at home when a eucalypt fell onto the front bedroom. Nobody was injured, but the roof suffered major damage. It was among 10 homes in Alkira Avenue to suffer roof damage from what the SES described as cyclonic conditions. The storm's overnight impact at Lake Macquarie was revealed this morning as 60 to 70 kilometre winds continued to blast Belmont. Several boat owners arrived at Crowders Bay fearing it had been the worst night of weather in years.
I have seen it, yep. This bad about 4 years ago. Lousy, very bad, very, very bad. Expected the worst and found it.
Ropes anchoring this yacht were broken. It glanced a number of other boats on its trip to the shore. Meantime, vessels were also swept from their moorings and run aground near the Lake Macquarie Yacht Club. One salvage operation would have had a boat owner very nervous. It took a 20-minute effort for the boat to be dragged from mud and seagrass and returned to its moorings. Todd Nardi, NBN News.
It'll cost the government $80 million to sever its private ties at Port Macquarie 14 years after the deal was sealed by the then coalition government. On the Mid-North Coast today, Bob Carr called that arrangement a disaster, but reaffirmed his commitment to private involvement in Newcastle's Mater Hospital.
But that's different. That's not privatising a public hospital.
Two potential private partners have been shortlisted for the Mater, with the preferred consortium expected to be announced by the end of the month. Under the partnership, they'll be responsible for a major redevelopment of the tired facility.
If you can get an additional facility in an area paid for with private money, that's one thing. But we're not selling off a public hospital.
The Mater redevelopment could begin as early as July, to be complete by mid-2008. Natasha Bayersdorf, NBN News.
The people of Eno Place, Elibarnes, say they've been hoodwinked, left in the dark about plans to construct a 33 kilovolt power line just beyond their backyards.
About a month ago we were alerted to it by my neighbour, and that's the first we found out about it.
Trees will be cut in this reserve to make way for the power line, a place locals say is home to rare birds and a creek. It's also an electrical easement, a designated area on which Energy Australia can erect the poles, part of a $15 million service upgrade for parts of Lake Macquarie. Energy Australia maintains plans have been made in consultation with the community from September 2003, but couldn't confirm if everyone was contacted.
Some people may have missed being door knocked. They may have also overlooked the letters that were put in their letterboxes.
That isn't true. We're getting more and more people every day coming to us stating they've not been involved with it at all. Energy Australia have not notified them.
For the owner of this home, the cables will run above their property, no doubt among the hundreds expected to attend yet another public meeting on the issue tonight. Adam McIlrick, NBN News.
Pipped by rival Patrick Johnson in the heats, Joshua Ross wound up in the final, leaving his co-Olympian midfield but having to play second fiddle to a Nigerian speedster. An equipment failure meant no times were recorded, but Ross knows he won't have it all his own way this summer.
I think all the sprinters in Australia have lifted their game a little bit, so it's good to see. It's good for everyone, pushes everyone to their limits, so it's good.
The state championships are next on the list for all athletes. Cricket at Newcastle are the New South Wales country champions once again after crushing Illawarra by 7 wickets. It started with an inspired spell from Brad Bannister, who captured 5 for 46, with some great fielding helping out. Simon Moore doing the business as Illawarra totalled just 122. Michael Gerrits and Reece Soper steered Newcastle out of early drama with an unbeaten 76-run stand for the 4th wicket. Newcastle will now play Sydney grade side University of New South Wales for the State Challenge. Another mixed weekend for Hunter teams in the Premier League Lawn Bowl series, with Maitland City beating Toronto while Windale went down heavily. Despite playing at home, Windale Gateshead had few answers against Cabramatta. The Bull Ants stung Windale on all 3 rinks as they slipped to 3rd last on the ladder.
This 127-hectare parcel of land at Cameron Park promises to accommodate around 1,300 people, but it's the plight of the incumbent residents that has been the problem. Lake Macquarie Council deferred a decision on the Pambulong Forest Estate after its environmental officer advised 4 endangered species would be threatened. Last night, Council made its decision, unanimously approving the estate.
But we have also taken on board some of the recommendations from our environmental officer to try and limit any of the impacts.
The council says the land will be cleared in 7 stages to allow wildlife to retreat into an environmental buffer. However, members of the Native Animal Trust who care for injured wildlife from the forest fear possums, bats, owls and lizards won't be able to find new homes.
There's a very, very wide range of animals that are going to be affected by this removal of their habitat. It's very sad.
That entire zone, the North Lakes zone generally, is a very important part of our strategic plan to accommodate growth needs within the city.
This land will be broken up into 600 residential lots, a commercial block possibly for a small shopping centre, with some land to be saved for a park. The council's approval is subject to the Department of Environment and Conservation granting consent. Todd Nardi, NBN News.
And I thought that was the criteria, I thought that was the selection criteria, and that's how they decided who you were eligible for. So as far as I was concerned, from the moment I put on the Clydesdales jumper, I was a Queenslander.
Meet Boolaroo Public School teacher Mr Allen, or as a handful of his students know him, Grandpa. He teaches the Year 4, 5 and 6 composite class at the small Lake Macquarie school of just 63 students. It's a real family affair with 4 of his grandchildren in his class, creating some amusing situations in and out of the classroom.
They're 4 good kids and they get on with the things they're supposed to do. But yeah, we have a little bit of a joke about it, if you've done your homework and yes, Pa, we have, or yes, Mr. A, whatever situation they're in.
Sometimes we talk about him out in the playground and we call him Pa, but not in the classroom.
But according to Mr Allen, there's no special perks or allowances. All of his students are treated equally.
No point is made of it in the classroom, either by myself or by the kids. And the rest of the class members treat it fantastically, actually.
He just treats everyone the same, like they were all his grandkids.
It's a rare occurrence in New South Wales state schools, a grandfather teaching his grandchildren. But what makes it even more unique is that there's so many in the one classroom. And it's not the first time he's taught family members.
I raised my family in this community and I taught my 4 children, and now 4 of their children are in the same classroom.
Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.